"You can't be serious. You actually did it." My voice was a low growl, the shock still battling the sheer, unadulterated rage boiling in my gut. My eyes scanned the scene, a gaping chasm where our footbridge once stood, a chaos of jagged wood and frayed rope. A smug, sickeningly sweet smile was plastered on Karen's face as she watched the last plank fall with a satisfying thump into the sluggish creek below. She hadn't just removed the bridge, she had obliterated it, a symphony of destruction that echoed her own self-righteous fervor. What kind of person does this? The morning had started like any other. The sun was warm, the birds were chirping, and I was looking forward to my coffee. Then, the rhythmic crack of a sledgehammer against wood shattered the peace. I ran out, coffee mug forgotten, to see the HOA president, Karen, directing a crew of day laborers like a monarch overseeing a public execution. "This bridge is an eyesore," she declared, her perfectly manicured hand sweeping dismissively toward the structure I had built myself, with my own two hands, to connect our side of the creek to the main road. "It's a liability, a blight on our community's aesthetic standards." The blood rushed to my head. "A blight, Karen? It's a 100-year-old oak bridge. My grandfather helped build it. It's what makes this community this community." A neighbor, Sarah, came out, her face a mask of concern. "What's going on?" she whispered. Karen turned to us, her smile hardening. "The HOA has voted. It's coming down." She said it with finality, as if she were delivering an unalterable decree from on high. I stared at the crew, at their expressionless faces, their hammers poised to strike again. A deep, frustrated sigh escaped my lips. This wasn't a vote. I was on the board. We had discussed a new bridge, a replacement, but there was no vote, no consensus. This was pure, vindictive unilateralism. Karen was acting on her own, drunk on the petty power of her position. My counterattack began in my garage, surrounded by blueprints and old HOA meeting minutes. I knew there was more to the story. That bridge wasn't just a quaint shortcut. My memory jogged back to a heated, forgotten meeting from years ago, a conversation about a failing water pump for the entire community. It was on the other side of the creek, the only access point for a repair crew, for a fire truck, for any heavy equipment, was that bridge. It was our emergency lifeline, a fact that had been documented, voted on, and filed away in a forgotten manila folder in the depths of the HOA archives. My heart hammered against my ribs as I found the official document, yellowed with age but crystal clear. The bridge was not just a bridge, it was a critical piece of infrastructure, a literal lifeline for the entire neighborhood, and she had destroyed it without so much as a thought. I knew I had to act fast, but I needed an ally, someone on the inside. I thought of old Mr. Henderson, a quiet man who kept to himself, but had served on the board for decades. He was a silent sentinel, a repository of HOA history. I brought him the document, and his eyes, usually placid, widened with a mix of shock and dawning horror. "Oh, my word," he breathed, tracing the faded ink with a shaky finger. "The emergency egress. I'd completely forgotten." He revealed the final piece of the puzzle, a private email from Karen to her cronies, gloating about her plan to teach that Alex a lesson by removing his ugly bridge, and that she didn't need a vote to improve the community. It was the smoking gun, a perfect portrait of her arrogance and contempt for procedure. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. The dry spell had been long, and the old water pump, without its bridge-based lifeline, chose that very moment to give up the ghost. The water pressure dropped to a trickle, then stopped entirely. Just as panicked calls began flooding the HOA line, a small fire broke out in old Mrs. Gable's yard, a smoldering pile of leaves next to a dry shed. The fire department, alerted, was already on its way. That's when the chilling realization dawned on everyone. Ethy couldn't get a pumper truck across the creek. The fire, small at first, began to lick at the shed walls, the dry wood crackling like 1,000 tiny gunshots. People were yelling, some were crying. The crisis was real, immediate, and terrifying. The emergency HOA meeting was a pressure cooker. Everyone was there, a sea of anxious, angry faces. Karen, flustered and pale, was trying to deflect, to spin it as a necessary hardship for the greater good. But she couldn't outrun the truth. I stood up, my voice calm but firm. "Karen," I said, holding up the old document and the damning email. "This bridge was our emergency access. It was our only lifeline to the pump, and you knew it, or you should have." The email, which Mr. Henderson had forwarded to the entire board, was the final nail. The room fell silent. The only sound the frantic ringing of a phone as someone called the fire department again. pleading for them to find another way. Karen's facade finally cracked. Her lips trembled. Her confident smirk vanished, replaced by a desperate, trapped look. She had made a terrible, fatal mistake, all for a petty vendetta. The fallout was swift and brutal. The board voted unanimously to remove Karen from her position, effective immediately. The community, still shaken by the fire which thankfully was contained by neighbors with garden hoses, just barely turned on her. The whispers were loud, and the glares were sharper than any sledgehammer. Her downfall was complete, not with a bang, but with the quiet, devastating realization that her pride had nearly cost us everything. She stood there, a lone, pathetic figure, in the middle of a room of people who had once respected her, now viewing her with a mixture of pity and contempt. I watched her leave. Her shoulders slumped, her authority nothing but a memory. In the end, it was a moment of true, humanistic beauty. The whole community came together. We pooled our resources, our time, and our collective will. Kids handed out cold lemonade. Old Mr. Henderson supervised, his decades of experience finally put to good use. We built a new bridge, a stronger one, with a plaque that read, "Built by the community, for the community." The water pump was repaired, and the sense of isolation was gone. The bridge became a symbol of our resilience, a monument to what happens when we replace self-serving arrogance with genuine collaboration. Was what Karen did illegal? Maybe. Was it wrong? Absolutely. But the truly amazing part was what came next. The way we all decided to rebuild together. It reminds me that even in the darkest moments, a community can always find a way to build something stronger than what was lost. What do you think? Did we do the right thing? Or should we have let the law handle it?